Hello, everybody. If you haven't met me before, my name is Raquel, but I go by Kel for short. I've been on a very, very spiritually cleansing journey lately, and it led me here. It led me to YouTube. It led me to the point where I said yes to God's calling. God has led me here, and I know that it's not too much for me to handle, but it's something that I've never done before, and it's a bit challenging for me. I want to tell my story, and it's not the typical story. It's not I wouldn't even say typical. It's just my story. It's my story to tell, and I want to share it today because I feel like with me sharing this, it could possibly help somebody else. It could be a story for somebody to look at and be like, well, I know that I don't need to do that, or this could happen to me. It could also inspire somebody else to share their story and more people to come out and speak about what's happened to them. But this is meant to help, and in this whole process, I ask that you bear with me. I ask that you be supportive and seek to understand my point of view, because this is my story and only I can tell it. So, to begin the story, about 2 years ago, I went on my first training with my military affiliation. We were out in the field for about 2 weeks. 2 weeks we were out in the field, and we were doing some very, very, very interesting training. Throughout this training, there was this guy. There were actually a couple guys like I got really, really cool with. We started to chop it up, oh, how was your life back in, wherever you're staying? What do you do? Like, we just got very close over that time. And then being out in the field with somebody, like, there's this thing called like close proximity. In that time, you start to feel feelings develop that you would never even think, like, but just being in a close proximity with somebody for so long, you begin to like maybe this isn't so bad. That's like human nature. So my story's basically man, this is difficult. It was about the time that I got sexually assaulted. It was about a dude that I had become friends with. I became friends with him, or at least I thought it was a friendship. And he took advantage of me in a state where I was pretty much unconscious. I would have never thought it would happen to me. Like, honestly. When I growing up, I was always sheltered. Like, my mom pretty much protected me from the world, and when that happened, it kind of shattered that point of view of, oh, everybody's looking out for me, everybody's always caring for me. It pretty much like put a damper on my scene. But I kind of want to go into detail a little bit and let you know how it happened, and kind of tell you how I felt about it. So, while we were out there training, there was myself and 2 other guys who used to hang out all the time. Like, we used to be buddy buddy like all the time. That whole, actually even before the 2 weeks, like that was just my little crew. We used to always be together, talking, laughing, sharing jokes, talking about our past lives, and just, you know, what we want to do in the future, all this stuff. Over the 2 weeks, it became like a common thing. Like we would just always be together. So people seeing us together, it wasn't anything new. It wasn't anything like outlandish. People were like, oh, okay, yeah, they always together. Towards the end of the training, that's the more, like, I would say, important part of this story. Towards the end of the training, I started to develop feelings for one of the guys. So I told the other one, who I obviously didn't have feelings for, I was just like, man, I kind of like him, like, but I don't know that much about him to be like, do I really want to just like be in a relationship and like pursue this thing? So I didn't tell the dude, because I was like, bro, I don't want to be like made a fool of. Like, I don't want him to be like, oh, I got a girlfriend or something, you know, something crazy. So I told him, and he ended up telling the other dude, I guess trying to like hook me up with him, whatever. But he ended up telling the other dude. So it put me in kind of an awkward position, because I was like, oh snap, like now he knows. I think he knows. Like, I didn't know for sure if he knew, but I was like, if he does know, I'm gonna definitely be the one to tell him. Like, I don't want anybody else to be, you know, going out there telling him. Like, I don't want to make it look like I'm weak or whatever. At the time, I was pretty low in self-esteem. Like, I basically sought the approval of this dude like pretty heavily, because the demeanor that he has is very like very cool, like very calm, completely collected. Like, you would almost think that nothing phases him ever. Like, even the most serious of things, you would think that nothing would get to him, the way that he portrays himself, the way he carries himself. I thought that was pretty attractive. I was like, you know, that is something that shows strength. It's a very good thing. So towards the end of the train, I ended up telling them, I was like, you know, yeah, I like you. And he was just like, I already knew that. And at that point, like, I didn't really know how to feel. I was just like, you already knew that. You never said anything, so does that mean you don't like me back? Or, like, are you expecting me to chase you? Like, what's going on here? I never really said anything, because I really didn't know how to feel. I was like, shoot. Okay, well, if he feels some type of way, he's obviously going to say something. So I kind of just waited at that point. I was like, all right, ain't really much else for me to do. He's already understood how I feel. I guess I just kind of waited at this point. So we get to the point where we're leaving. We're about to leave. So everybody's packing up everything, putting the equipment on the trucks, and we kind of had like a nice little chill day where we had popsicles, and we watched movies, and we were really just very relaxed that day. So like I told you before, me and these other guys, like, we used to be together all the time. So I started to form a bond that was like a brother with one of them, and then a bond that was like, I trust you, but like, I like you, so I don't trust you all of the way. Like, I don't necessarily trust you, pretty much. Like, but I trusted him because I saw him as a friend. But on the side of me that wanted to be like with him, or thought that I wanted to be with him, I didn't trust him. That's just like trust issues from like the past. So it was just like that. So we got the popsicles, right? And we were all making little dirty jokes, like, ha, oh, you know, go deep. All this stuff. Like, everybody's making jokes. And so me, I took it upon myself to be like, well, I don't even remember the joke that I said. I just remember I had this popsicle, and I put it like all the way in my mouth. I was like, and it was a dirty joke, but it wasn't like, hey, I'm about to. It wasn't directed in. It wasn't directed towards anybody. It was just like, yeah, this is what it is. But it was like, at the time, I know it was very inappropriate, but in the moment, it was like funny to me. Like, okay, cool. And I didn't think that anybody took it seriously. I was just like, oh yeah, we're all making jokes, you know, like. So, yeah, I was not in the mindset of thinking that this dude would even be attracted to me. Of course, people would tell me, oh yeah, you're beautiful, you this, you that. But if you don't believe it about yourself, it's hard to accept that from somebody else, or to even believe that people think you're attractive. So for me, it was a challenge even accepting the fact that he could even think I was attractive. So after that happened, after I told him I liked him and everything, I remember it was one morning, like, I think this was when we were actually leaving, or actually at that night after the popsicle thing. All of the tents were down, so we were sleeping outside underneath the stars, and I just remember we were sitting there counting stars, trying to see, or trying to bet who had the right number. Like, oh, I think it's this many stars. He was like, nah, I think it's this many stars. How much you want to bet? How much you want to bet? Like, we were betting, you know, trying to see basically who would be right. Obviously, neither of us were right. And we just end up like looking at each other, we gazing at each other. Till we went to sleep. So we went to sleep, and then the next morning, we had to go check out the trucks, make sure they were ready to run. So I'm going over by the truck, he's with me. He's like, follow me over here, come check this out. Me being me, I was just like, I wonder what he's trying to get me to check out. Like, I went and walked over there, and he just kind of like leaned over me. It's just like, why were you looking at me like that under stars? And I was like, I was anxious. I was like, I wonder why he looking at me like this right now. Like, what are you doing? You know? And he grabbed my face and he kissed me. He just kind of did it. And I wasn't ready. I was just like, so like, my eyes was open. My eyes were open. I was just looking. I was like, it wasn't like a whole lot of tongue and all that other stuff. It was just weird, like the fact that he was kissing me, and it was just like, oh my God. I'm thinking in my head, like, does this mean he likes me? What does this kiss mean? He hasn't told me he likes me, so I'm not even sure what's happening right now. And I'm just like, okay. So I just kind of step back, and we look at each other, and like, nobody said anything. Like, we never said anything about that. We just kind of like let it roll off our backs. Just kind of like, okay. So we went back, finished checking the truck. We went back, and then the crew came back together. We all came back together. This wasn't like immediately after. This some time passed. I don't exactly remember what happened right after. But we came back together. We started talking about what we were gonna do when we got back to home base. Like, oh my God, y'all, what we gonna do? We're gonna play some drinking games. We're gonna have fun. We're gonna do this. We're gonna turn up, whatever. Me, I'm like, yeah, we should do that. I got cards. We could do this. We could do this. It's gonna be so much fun. So we get back to our base, and we get released for the day. They said, okay, you know, guys, y'all can go out, y'all can go drink or whatever. You can go get a hotel. You can do whatever you want to do, but you have to be back by a certain amount of time, by a certain time. So we like, okay, cool. We all leave. We all leave, and we didn't have civilian clothes, so we couldn't go out to a bar or anything, and like barely any of us was 21. So yeah, it was hotel. We all was like, okay, let's just get a hotel, we can play drinking games there, it's cool. So we get the hotel, we got drinks, but what happened was, what, we got drinks, we got a bottle, but like, I'm skipping something, I'm missing something. Oh yeah, we went to the hotel, everybody go take a shower, and not together, but like everybody took their showers or whatever. And I just remember when I was getting in the shower, I thought everybody left. And one of the dudes stayed behind, and he was like after I got out the shower, he was just like, and it was the same dude that I told him I liked him or whatever. So I was just like, what's up, you know? But I had never been in a situation with a dude like that before. Like, never had sex, never did none of that. So I'm really just looking at him like, man, I hope you don't think like this is about to go down, because I really don't even, this is not what it is. So we're just laying there, and we're not really talking, just kind of looking at me. And so we start kissing, and again I'm just like, okay, he haven't said he likes me or nothing. Like, I don't know what this means, I'm not sure what's going on really. So just kissing, and I'm like, all right. So I just kind of push him away, like not push him, but just kind of like step, like, okay, that's enough of that. And he says, how about you do me like you did that popsicle? And I'm like, no, it's okay. I know what I did, but nah, like, that's not what I'm on. And especially not at this time. Like, no. So I just said no, and he was like, all right. And he was like very understanding of it. He was like, okay, all right. Didn't do it. While our other friends, they went to go get the bottles and stuff. So it was just like, after that happened, they came back. Like, it was kind of weird, because they were like perfect timing. Like, I said no, and then it's like a little bit later, like, they came and they had the bottles, they had the juice and all that. So we playing King's Cup and King's Cup and beer pong, but we was not playing with beer. So we playing that, and my team losing. Like, oh my god, that was like my first time ever playing that game, and I sucked at it. So I'm getting drunk, y'all, like stupid drunk, but I'm still playing the game, because I'm like, oh yeah, you know, it's fun, whatever. So we playing with one of the dudes, his cousin had brought through a bottle of Hennessy, and that's when I was like, oh shit, yeah, we fucked up. Like, we playing with this, and I'm taking these shots, not even realizing like how drunk I'm actually getting at this point, because it's just like, whatever, keep playing. I want to win. That's all I'm thinking. I want to win. So, ooh, man. After we played the beer pong or whatever, I'm so drunk to the point where I just go and I lay on the bed, because I was done. Like, I couldn't drink no more. I just wanted to lay down. And at that point, I remember they left again, and for some reason he stayed, and I didn't know why. I just remember I was laying there looking at the ceiling, and then like he like jumped on me. Like, jumped on me, started unbuckling my belt. I'm like pushing his hands away. He started unbuckling my belt and like trying to take my pants off. Actually took my pants off. Took my pants off, and then he started like you know, putting his face between my legs, and I was just like laying there because I'm twisting, trying to like move him off of me. And he's then he tried to put his penis inside of me. He tried to do that, but I had my hand right there, and I was just covering it because I was like, nah, bro, nah, not like this. It can't happen like this. That's what I'm thinking. I couldn't talk. I couldn't move. I was just laying there, and I just had my eyes closed because I was just like, this can't be happening, bro. Like, this ain't happening right now. This ain't happening. And, it got to the point where he was, like, whispering. He was just whispering a whole bunch of stuff in my ear, like, saying stuff like, I'll make you my girl if you let me in right now. And I was like, and then he went to another level, and he put his penis in my mouth, and he started doing that, and I'm to the point where I'm just laying there, I'm just like, bro, how could this be happening? And he's just doing it, and like I started vomiting, and he's still going, like he just kept going, and I'm just like trying to move away, and it just seemed like I couldn't move, and then it seemed like man, there's no way out of this. Like there's no way out of this. Like I'm not getting out of this situation. So I tried to crawl away. I started trying to crawl away, crawling away, and he pulled me by my leg, pulled me back, pulled me by my leg, pulled me back. And at that point, it was just like, I just tried to separate myself from my body because I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to be in that situation. And it was almost like second nature, like just dissociate to feel like I wasn't there. And for a while I don't remember anything. Like I don't remember. It feels like I almost wasn't there, but I know it was at a certain point. His phone started ringing, and I thought it was one of my friends. I don't know like why I thought that, but I just thought it was one of my friends, and I answered. And it was a girl. It was a girl calling, and I was like, this isn't him. It's not my friend. And I hung up. And then this girl started blowing the phone up. Like, I don't know who this girl was, but she started blowing the phone up. Text messages, calling, everything. I was like, bro, I don't know what to do. And after a while, he stopped. I don't know what happened in his head, but he just stopped, and he laid on the bed, and I was just crying. I was just sitting on the floor crying because I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. Like, I just felt hopeless. I was like, bro, how do I explain this? Like, how do I explain this to anybody? Like, and then my friend, he actually came. He came and he opened the door, and he saw me crying, and I hugged the dude because it was like I didn't want to be mad at him. I didn't want to feel like a victim, and I didn't want to believe that happened. So it was like, when I hugged him, it almost felt like it was a different person than the person that did that to me. And so my friend, he was like, I was confused. Like, for 2 years I didn't talk about this. I never talked about it because I felt ashamed. I felt like I put myself in that situation, and I felt like it was my fault that happened to me. It wasn't until recently, like literally a week ago, that I started talking about it. And it was because we had a class that talked about sexual assault and what to do in case, like, in case you have this happen to you, or somebody that has happened to, and you want to get help for them. That's what triggered it for me. Like, for a long time, I feel like it was just repressed because I tried so hard to not remember. Like, that didn't happen to me. I told myself a lot of times that didn't happen to me. And I told other people that didn't happen. Nobody ever brought it up, but it's just like, you don't want people to know that it's happened to you. Like, well, I don't know about y'all. I didn't want people to know. It was like, it's such a horrible feeling, being taken advantage of, and it comes from not being aware of your surroundings, not being aware of how people are taking the things that you're saying and you're doing, and being overly trusting, I must say, because there are times when we trust a little too much, and we don't want to believe that, but sometimes you have to know that this world is not all nice people. And I know growing up, I had a hard time believing that a lot. I had a hard time believing that, for real. So I went through a week ago, I went through the process of, I talked to the dude about it, to the same dude that did it. I talked to him, and before I talked to him, I talked to one of my superiors, and I basically told them what happened, and they brought it to him, and that's how we ended up talking about it, because for a long time, I felt like I couldn't talk to him about it because he didn't want to listen, or he just didn't care, or he did it to intentionally hurt me. But then I talked to him about it, and I just let him know how I feel. At first, he was furious because he thought that I was trying to, I don't know, make a false claim or whatever. He was really upset, and he was like, man, I don't have time for this bullshit. If you don't want to, if you ain't got time, if you don't want to talk about it or whatever, get out my, and for me, for years, this stuff, it's really, like, hurt me. It's really torn me up. So when he said that it was bull, like, it kind of set me off, and I walked away. I was very upset. I was angry and crying and just mad because I didn't feel like it was bull. Like, it was real to me, and it still is very real. It's like, it affects me in a lot of different ways. My relationships, my trust with men, it's not the same. And it's something that I have to develop, something that I have to regain. But it's like, I won't be able to regain it if I don't try. That's how I feel. So talking to him, it was a big milestone for me. I'm not mad at him. I'm not mad, because being angry, it doesn't hurt anybody but me. It doesn't help me grow, and it won't garner anything productive. I know that for a fact. I'm no longer mad that it happened. I used to be furious. I used to be angry with myself. I'm not mad anymore, and I feel so much peace in that, because that kind of situation is something that is very emotionally charged, very, very bad secret to keep. Because I dealt with that. I was depressed for a whole year after that happened, and it was just really, I started to realize that it was really the paradigms that I built in my mind after it happened. I started to feel like I was worthless, and I started feeling like I was dirty, and I was used, and nobody would care for me, nobody was protecting me. And I had to understand, I had to not even understand, I had to break that out of my mind and know that that was not true, that God is on my side. He would never put more things on me than I can bear. Everything happens for a reason. That was a lesson that I needed to learn, in that it happened to me so that I could share my story with y'all. It happened to me so that I could be a vessel for somebody else. It happened to me so that I could be a safe place for somebody else to come and talk to me. Because since I started talking about it, a lot of people, it's like a lot more people, they talk to me, and they come to me, and they confide in me, and then I'm there for them, and I'm able to share, I'm able to help and to heal and to love on them. Because at a time when I felt like nobody cared, I felt like nobody cared about me, and that it was all my fault. I felt like it was all my fault, and I used to blame myself, like, why would you do to put yourself in that situation? Why would you do that? Why would you be so stupid? But you can never expect anything like that. And like I said, that was my friend. I never expect that. But you have to know that anything can happen. You have to protect yourself. If you don't feel like in a situation you're safe, get out of that situation. If you don't have somebody there that's going to be accountable and that's going to hold you up to the standards that you set for yourself, get out of that situation. Get away from those people. Because losing yourself is something you never want to do. I lost myself for a long time, and I'm just now finding my voice. I'm finding myself again. I'm loving myself again. I'm embracing myself. But it took a long time, and it took a whole lot of cleaning of the spirit. A whole lot. Like, there's still so much more to be done. I can only hope that I'm helping somebody. That's really it. Like, that's why I'm doing this, because I really want somebody to be inspired, to help somebody else, and to know that you're not alone. You'll never be alone in this, man. Like, don't ever blame yourself. It's not your fault. There's some twisted people in this world, and there's some nice people. But you gotta be aware of which one you are and who you're around. Always be aware. Always be vigilant. Always be asking questions of people. Don't take anybody's word face value. Always ask questions. If you're a woman, do not chase a man. Do not feel like you're going to get any kind of validation from him, because you're not. You're really not. Being accepted by people, it won't happen in this life. Only person that can accept you truly is God. And you first have to accept yourself. If you're not accepting yourself, I would just say it would behoove you to get on the path of doing that. Because until you do that, you'll always hurt yourself trying to fit in or trying to be accepted by somebody who doesn't care. It's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's necessary. You have to love yourself. You have to love God. Put him first. Put him in all the things you do. Always, always, always praise him. Even when you feel like you're down and you don't have anything, always be grateful for what you have. Because he is bringing you through. If you're not already through it, he's bringing you through currently. Don't run from the darkness, because that's where you're going to develop. Like right now, I'm going through it. All of the memories coming back and stuff. Like, I'm going through it, and I'm pushing. I'm holding on. I'm pushing. I'm getting support from all of the people that I can. But the difference now is I'm talking to people. I'm asking for help. I'm asking for resources. Like, that's the difference now from then. Because at that time, I was weak. And I tried to find strength in things that could never support me. In men, in other people's opinions. And, in alcohol. But like, once you find the strength in God, you're gonna find all of the strength that you need. And that's from my heart. I just want to thank you for listening. I thank you for sharing your stories. I thank you for sharing mine with other people. I thank you for going on this journey with me and just being there, because I really appreciate it. You can ask me questions. I'm here to talk. You can vent to me. Anything. I want you to know that you're not alone. You're on top and you're going higher. Thank you.